I'll let you know.
Okay, perfect.
114.
Oh, I'm only 114.
Yeah, exactly. It's just how many it'll be, I think.
I know. So it's like, further back. I'm like, no.
I don't know. But, you know.
Okay, Mary, you're all set.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, let's call the meeting to order.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so we're gonna start with announcements. So we have an upcoming public hearing for the 26-27 operating budget, which will be Monday, April 6th, 2026 at 7 p.m. in this room. And we have an International Dark Sky Week proclamation. So I'm gonna hand this to you, but I'm gonna read the proclamation. Okay. International Dark Sky Week. Whereas the aesthetic beauty and wonder of a natural night sky is a shared heritage of all creatures on planet Earth, and whereas the experience of standing beneath a starry night sky inspires feelings of wonder and awe, encouraging a growing interest in science and nature, especially among young people and visitors from outside the local community. And whereas the light pollution has scientifically established economic and environmental consequences, including significant negative impacts to the ecology and human health of all communities. And whereas 80% of the world's population, including many in Irvington, live under a dome of light pollution, excessive artificial lighting at night that disrupts natural darkness, and may never experience the visual wonder or ecological and health benefits of living under a dark sky. And whereas light pollution represents a waste of natural resources amounting to roughly 3 billion per year wasted energy in the United States and contributes to diminished energy security. And whereas Irvington has committed itself to protecting the well-being of wildlife, including pollinating insects, which are adversely affected by light pollution. And whereas Dark Sky International is the globally recognized authority on light pollution and has created International Dark Sky Week to raise awareness of the effects of light pollution, provide free education resources and solutions to the public, to encourage the protection of and enjoyment of dark skies and responsible outdoor lighting. And whereas in 2020, the Irvington zoning code was amended to require that any application that comes before the planning board that includes lighting must be dark sky compliant. And now therefore, I, Arlene Burgos, Mayor of the Village of Irvington, New York, do hereby proclaim April 13th to April 20th, 2026 as International Dark Sky Week in the Village of Irvington, New York, and ask each resident to join me not only in observing and pondering upon this important week, but also in raising awareness and support for protecting our precious dark skies resources. In witness whereof, I set my hand and imprinted the seal of the Village of Irvington on this March 16, 2026. So, yeah. I am going. Do we have one to give? Lori, do you want the proclamation? No? Okay. I was going to say it also has something on the back.
Okay.
We can always make one.
Yes, you can make one if you want one. You definitely don't want this one because it has a letter on it. Okay. All right.
See it.
Yes, we'll definitely give you one. Yes. Okay. So correspondence, and this week we got correspondence from Lori Regan, Irvington Housing Committee, Peter Agavino, the Tree Calming Committee, respect to property owners' responsibilities, and the Tree Calming Committee, South Broadway redesign. I just want to remind everyone that we don't read correspondence. But of course, people are welcome to share during public comment, which is coming up next, those comments, but the letters are part of the public record.
Just a point of clarification, the last two are from the Traffic Calming Committee. I thought it sounded like you said tree calming.
I did say traffic? I might have said tree.
But
Okay,
anyway,
ooh,
it-
my bad.
just for
Traffic,
the record.
traffic calming
Let's
committee.
calm those trees.
They're kind of-
Definitely, I saw traffic, so it definitely says traffic, but thank you. So public comment? You want to talk about the letter? If you want.
I mean, so I can talk or answer any questions from the committee about the South Broadway section. That's really why.
Okay.
The rest is kind of.
Sure. Okay, I mean, I think we're considering, do you want to just say your name quickly?
My name
Okay.
is Vasco Bishop, and I live at 44 Ardsley Avenue East. In Irvington.
So we received your letter. I think we will it will be considering it and probably getting back to the traffic calming committee,
Okay.
not the tree calming committee.
Okay.
A new committee, but we will be in, we'll correspond with you. Okay, but we received the letter. I mean, if you wanted to share any points about it for the public.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody is tuning in online, but the basic idea is that we have two stretches of Broadway. They're not exactly the same, but they're both the same in that they both have 4 lanes across, which makes it very difficult to cross the street. And it's not in tune with the rest of the river towns, which have redesigned their stretches of Broadway. What our traffic calming committee did is we discussed the issue after we had multiple complaints from residents about the traffic on Broadway. We also have taken a look at the data over time for, we have speed monitoring data for Broadway and several other streets in the village, and speeding on Broadway continues to be a problem. It's not the majority of vehicles, but there's still outliers that have significantly high speeds. Certainly, we did a quick calculation. About 10% of the vehicles traveling on South Broadway could receive a ticket for speed infractions, about 10%, and then some cars exceed that by a lot. It makes it very hard to cross the street with small children, even for anyone. I mean, really for anyone to cross the street. And speaking from a personal perspective, when I drive on Broadway, I often see people in the morning trying to cross the street to go to the train station, to go to the trail, walk to school, etc. And what we would like to do is to kind of take a look at the issue with a traffic expert, a traffic engineer, and see if we can redesign the stretch to make it more people-friendly, more bike-friendly, calm the street, reduce speeds, and make it work better for everyone. So that's what our letter is about. It's addressed to the Board of Trustees. It's about asking for the services of a traffic engineer or traffic engineering expert to kind of round out a proposal and have a very simple proposal in mind for how to improve this stretch of Broadway. Because we're not traffic experts in the sense that we're not traffic engineers. We don't know the details of the code, what's considered safe, not safe, how to design these intersections so that it can be safe for both pedestrians and cars at the same time. So that's what we think would help our town, and that's why we wrote the letter and we forwarded it to you.
Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. Or comments. I'm extremely sympathetic to your issue, and I have noticed over the 30 years I've lived in this town, when I first came here, Broadway was 4 lanes of traffic from the Yonkers border to 119. Every village you pass through was 4 lanes, except for an occasional spot. What's happened is over the last number of years is every other village has decreased it down to 2 lanes plus a turning zone, or added parking or not. I don't know exactly how they did that, but they did. The most recent of which was from Sunnyside to 119. That was 4 lanes, and now it's not 4 lanes at all. It is very unsafe. I would love to ride my bike. I can't think of riding my bike on Broadway. I've done it a couple of times and I'm freaked out. And just the other day, I saw 2 10-year-old over 12-year-old kids riding down Broadway on their bike with cars zooming by them, whatever. So I applaud what you're doing. I have a couple questions. It would seem that the state could do exactly what they did from Sunnyside to 119 on all of our 4-lane sections. So I wonder why, if they're doing it, we could certainly propose to them just doing the first section that you're proposing. But it seems like if they're going to all this trouble, they should look at relining the whole thing. And that's all we're talking about is relining. We're not talking about curbs changing or anything of that nature. So that I would encourage you to look at having a double option to do everything. And then the other question is, what you're asking is that we as a village find the engineer. I'm not sure that the state won't just do it for us.
That's a good question. Yeah.
So
You're right.
if you could, you guys go to your counterparts in Tarrytown, Duxbury, Hastings, and say, how did you get this done? What data did you have to present to them to do it?
Could we ask like the village administrators? They would probably, they would know, or maybe they could sort of put us in the right direction.
Yeah, we could put it.
Yeah, because that's probably faster than trying to identify who the. Yeah.
For us doing it ourselves, no matter what we would propose to them, they're going to say, well, we have to do it. So I don't think we're saving them any work by saying the line should be 12 feet across from each other here. And, it's their road. They're going to want to do it to their specification, whatever that is. But they've recently done it. That 119 thing was like the last 2 years is when they did that.
Yeah, it's been recent.
Yeah,
Changes
from
were-
Sunnyside to 119. So if you could,
You're right. It's a complicated issue. I mean, one, I think you raised a couple of points. I think that, let me just address kind of the first thing, which is how do we actually go about this? And the idea of us submitting a proposal to the state was something that was given to me by the Tarrytown Traffic Committee, actually.
okay.
And talking with the Dobbs Ferry Traffic Committee as well. That's not how they did it. What they actually did was they engaged with the state when the road was being repaved and repainted. And that's why they were able to just paint the lines. They engaged with the state and they asked them, this is what we want, and I said, okay.
We missed out.
They also asked for not, and when I spoke to Hastings, they actually told me that they asked for a bunch of other things too, and the state kind of said no. But, so there's kind of like there's a way to probably interact with the state officials where we can take advantage of them actually doing work at the time. For instance, next time the road is repaved or repainted. The other side of things is kind of, in terms of like what should we do and how much engineering goes into it. The idea for a dedicated traffic engineer was to kind of put together a proposal that would be valid, whether the state wants to do it or not. Asking the state to redesign the road for us, they probably don't feel like they need to, because it doesn't. Well, the road in their eyes probably doesn't. It's not failing, in terms of the state's prerogatives for that road. It's failing for us because we can't cross the road.
Wasn't there a
And-
death? Wasn't there somebody that was killed?
Well,
It's
the Dobbs Ferry.
No, in Irvington, a few years ago.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, there was a student that was killed crossing.
And I think one of the, I agree with all the problems you're talking about, and would love to see a lot of this stuff done. I think the thing that's difficult for me is, like you mentioned in your letter, there is the Route 9 Complete Streets project. And besides like all the engineering work that went to that, like, hey, I'm not a traffic engineer too, so I don't know if we just move lines and we don't implement the other things that they have, like the roundabouts and things like that, if we will see the same impact that they want. But B, I think the really important thing is that they've spent the last couple of years really engaging the communities and getting like community and resident feedback about the changes that I feel like, for a project like this, we really need to do. And so, it does worry me a little bit about duplicating the effort, but not on the same scale or with the same community input or, traffic input or engineering input that they've already done for this project. especially not knowing where it is. I mean, I think that like at this point, it's tricky because like you said in your letter, this is likely a couple years away. Best case scenario, it's not the funding for it isn't available to do the whole thing or even part of it. But I think we're at a point now where we should know some point this year, like what the plan for phase is. And so if it happens to be Irvington, well then we really wouldn't want to, do this now if it's happening 2 years away from now.
But to that
Do we
point,
have-
exactly.
But do we have a sense of when, yeah.
My understanding is this spring,
Right.
the state's gonna release the first piece of Route 9 that's gonna get targeted. It's gonna closely align with municipalities' borders, but we'll know the first segment that's targeted soon, like this spring.
But isn't there a question of like the funding? I thought there wasn't funding yet for it. So it could be years before they actually start that.
They have some funding. They
do have
don't
some.
have funding for everything.
Yeah.
So I think the first piece of it that's targeted will depend on how much it will cost to do everything that they need to do.
So I do wonder though, if we're proposing something that's in line with what is like the community input and everything that's happening with the Route 9 plan, that maybe we pick out some specific parts of it that are aligned, maybe you're showing interest that like our community is actually supportive of this. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, right? Like I think if we're going against anything that's part of that proposal, it feels like you're going upstream. But like I feel like if you're going along with what they're planning, it may not be as problematic.
I agree with you, Ken. And I'm thinking also that if we make a little noise about, you reduced it everywhere else but Irvington, that when they're choosing the first thing they do, that may incentivize them to choose to do it here.
That's what I'm thinking as well.
And likewise, in terms of the engineering design, I would say that if we were designing anything, we should just do exactly what they've planned minus the roundabouts. And minus no curves.
Do you have some?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I wasn't involved in it all, except sitting here. I remember Mitch Bard regularly reporting about having met with the state and
Yeah.
communicating the village's ideas. So it isn't that they
So Larry's doing
out of
that
the
now.
loop.
Yes, Larry and I sit on the committee of
Yeah.
municipalities that do that. We haven't had.
So
There's a difference between those sharing from like a board and having like broad community support for a project. I think there's something to be said for like I think if they knew
Yeah,
that, I think it
all
would
I'm
encourage.
saying is I think you should find out,
Yeah.
I think you should find out what the village's position has been,
So
on any of these things up till now.
to Kent's point, their biggest worry is that they're going to propose this and the villages are going to object.
13 minutes.
And previously, our public stance, the last time I was at a board meeting with Mitch, was the village itself, the administration, is not taking a stance one way or the other as to whether we want this or we don't, because we're waiting to see a more complete plan. That's where we were. So
No, I think, I do think that Mitch and Larry they gave some feedback.
Yeah.
And then also what they did was we encouraged the community and made it so that every single public hearing they had, we encouraged people to go. The part that was difficult from the village's perspective is that in every meeting, there were people from every village on all sides of it, people who like certain things, didn't like certain things. So it was difficult for the village to sort of have a village position. But I think the idea was, we were supportive of anything that would deal with traffic on Broadway and safety more than anything. So that was the role of the village in those meetings. But, I think that I remember Mitch saying, at points, everyone was unhappy, right? There were issues with the bike lanes. And I think it's good that you're sitting here, Todd, DPW, because the bike lanes make it harder for them. So there were definitely people on all sides of it. But I do think that the safety issue is probably something we can all agree on. I mean, I don't think anyone is going to say no to making the streets safer. But I think we have more to discuss, and I think we should come back to you, and I think we can sort of see and think about what the realistic possibilities are.
I think that's what, our proposal is kind of born out of this idea that what do we think is the most likely kind of outcome with maybe like a 2-3 year horizon. And when I've spoken to some of the officials from the Complete Streets project, now probably at least half a year ago, it's really unclear about which segment of this project, if it gets completely approved, and it probably will get completely approved. It's basically on track to be approved. Which segment will be funded first, and whether it'll be funded at all, because the cost is really considerable. The cost is a lot. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's more than just road paint. And the question is, do we wait for this process to play out? Given the possibility and the risk that it almost never materializes because of the cost and other priorities, or do we, like you said, mirror some of the engineering behind it, some of the good ideas behind it, which is crosswalks so people can cross the street, maybe bike lanes, calming traffic, and try to basically take charge ourselves and push for that. And I think it's a really good point about what's the best way to do that. Do we ask them to basically just do it without any formal engineering plan? Or do we, try to come up with a proposal ourselves so that we can at least present a viable, expert option that we know will work and will meet our needs?
Yeah. I would think we have to be, so I think we just need to know, we need to do a little bit more sort of digging about what's even possible, because even as I was listening to you, I'm thinking, in the Complete Streets, in that project and in the hearings, I think bike lanes were rejected, right? Am I right?
No,
Did people know? No, they
It
kept them.
went away and it came back.
A curb between the bike lane
Okay,
and that was rejected. So
Okay,
no curb, just
correct.
walking.
Okay, so good job, Todd.
You're very pleased with that.
Yeah.
You can clear the snow easy.
Yeah.
otherwise you won't be able to
But I
see the
think,
snow.
so I think that the thing is, and you're sort of making a good point about, and I think what we need to sort of think about is, perhaps what are the next steps and where we can kind of, I would think that you would want likelihood of success, right? We don't want to kind of present them with a report that they're gonna sort of reject or kind of reinvent the wheel. So, thank you for your letter. And I think we have a little bit of homework to do to determine next steps, and then we'll get back to the traffic calming committee. But thank you. And I think, everybody wants safer streets. So I think we're supportive of that for sure. We just want to give you a chance of success.
Thank you
So,
very much.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other public comment?
Yeah, I'd like to speak. First of all, as far as that's concerned, I remember because I'm living here 25 years. My name is Lori Friedman. I'm at 101 Valley View Road. There was a hit and run of a kid in 2013, June. And I just Googled the other one, which was a sixth grade student was taken to a local hospital after being struck by a motorist on busy Route 9. That was in 2014. If you Google it, it's there. I just want to thank all of you for declaring Irvington International Dark Sky Week, April 13th to the 20th, and to let you know that we're going to have a great stargazing event at the O'Hara Nature Center. And it's going to be hosted by the Woods Committee and the Parks and Recreation Committee. And we're going to have a lot of stickers and brochures. And we found an amateur astronomer from Ardsley, who he is the VP of field events at the it's the Westchester Amateur Astronomers Club. I don't even know existed until I got involved with this whole thing.
What date is the event?
It's going to be April 17th at 7:30 at the O'Hara Nature Center with a rain date of the 20th, which is Monday. So it's exciting. We're going to try to get a lot of press out and get flyers handed out, maybe get it in the River Journal, get it posted everywhere, and try to have a big turnout. We just have to try to figure out, I guess, the parking situation at the O'Hara Nature Center. It's a big enough space and nice sky, not too many trees that will get in the way, but it's a matter of trying to get people now to carpool, and there'll be a lot of information going forward. So I just want to thank you.
Thank you. How many cars can be parked at the nature center? Do we know? David?
There's about a dozen in the main lot, and then the think a dozen or 15 more. Then we park along the road, and then we can park down in our transfer station area.
There's a lot of space down there, I think.
There's a lot of space down there, but you need people there to direct it.
Yeah,
Because
especially at
there's
night.
places where you should not be driving. So we're moving the
Yeah, I think
cones
they will
or
there.
monitored or something like that. But yeah, it can be done. And we've regularly parked along the road. It's Mountain Road isn't exactly the most traveled road in the village.
Okay.
Except when the tree falls down on that way. You have to use it.
Okay. So next,
No, actually, I have something to say. Yeah, so I wanted to respond to Mr. Agavino's letter with public notice about the wires in Con Edison. Actually, while Todd's here as well. So Mr. Agavino called for a survey of hanging wires in the village and for us to then communicate the findings of that survey and actually put us on probable prior written notice of that. And just wanted to thank Todd and the DPW for stepping up and agreeing to conduct that survey, which they think should take like a week, and they're going to start with the Main Street area.
That was done today.
Oh,
So
damn.
we're just putting a matrix together, and then I will CC you guys when I send it to Con Ed and Verizon. So we did this 2 years ago. Same situation. It was Mr. Agavino that contacted us. It's better than it was. So from our last sheet to this sheet, there's not as many problem areas, but there are some, and the worst are on Main Street, 100%, Sunnyside Lane as well, East Sunnyside Lane. So we'll get that together. I probably need tomorrow to get that together, and then we'll get that out. And as far as the roads, when Broadway was done, I don't want to speak for the previous board or the administration, but what we were worried about were sidewalks at the time, and we got the state to excavate and re-pour the sidewalk from Richmond Hill to Harriman Road, which saved us maybe $150,000 to $200,000. So now we have the sidewalk, proper curbing. So that at that time, that's our focus was sidewalks. Right? Let's get people safely, and sidewalks cost a lot of money. And at the time, that was very supportive. The state jumped on, and we were
The
fighting.
state paid for that whole thing out
Yes.
there? Oh.
So that's our
I was
main.
wondering who was paying
We
for
were
that.
very
Sounds
surprised by
expensive.
that. They jumped on it. We just kept bothering the engineer, and they finally just caved. So that we did get something out of that project.
so
Could I
wait a
ask one-
second.
There's a lot of questions.
Come back. Hold on. Don't go, Todd.
Settle in, Todd.
Hold on, Todd.
Full vision.
So wait, Todd might be your person. Who knows how to get things done with the state?
Apparently.
Okay. You know where to start.
I mean, honestly, we would reach out to, of course, that engineer's moved on to another job, but we could reach out to, there's a head engineer for Southern Westchester. So that would be a first reach out, probably, and say, hey, how do we get this done, or how do we motivate the state to do this? Once again, as you said, I believe they did the engineering is pretty much done. Now it's just how to get that in place and how fast they make it happen.
Can I ask a question about
Sure.
wires? I know you have
Sure.
a full matrix, but when I looked around, I don't think anything I saw was Con Ed.
That's the biggest issue because number one, the Con Ed, 9 out of 10 times Con Ed will come out quickly because it's an emergency. It's a true hazard, right? You get electrocuted. The media wires don't care. It's really not a big concern to the media companies. The problem is you don't always know who it is because
was my question.
they're renting space from Verizon and Optimum. So then we have to get, that's the difficult side. So we will reach out to Verizon, we will reach out to Optimum because they rent that space. And then we just have to continue to stay on them.
What do we have, Marianne, do we have any legal recourse? I'm assuming that in the agreements with Verizon, we must have some portion of, yeah?
There was,
Todd
So
has the answer. Todd is on the-
But we just signed an agreement with Verizon, a new agreement.
Yeah.
And they did a lot, that's why a lot of this work got done. Because that agreement was not gonna get signed unless the administrator saw some action being taken. That's the honest truth. So there was enough action to be taken for the administrator to sign that agreement at the time.
Does that mean it's not Verizon? It's
It could be Optimum, it could be, it's just, we have to reach out and we just have to figure it out. And then sooner or later, you get them all together and they take, hey, this is mine. Finally, you know whose it is, and then you continue to just badger them to get that done.
I could throw one more thing out with Optimum. I know what they did down Main Street and all the side streets is they flipped everybody from cable to fiber. So when they did that, something tells me that they didn't remove all the old cable.
Very similar to you see a lot of double poles as well, correct?
Right.
They have 2 years to get to remove them.
Yeah.
A long time.
So
So you know, 2 years is a long time. You see that double pole, and you're like, it's only been that way for 6 months. Another 18 months. You know, but same thing. We remind them of that. We have a list of them as well. So it's not something that we don't do. It's just very difficult. We're a small village. Are they true hazards? They are hazards. I'm assuming they prioritize their hazards just like we do. That's the honesty of it.
And are you keeping track of your contacting them?
As much as I probably, it's email. So, you know,
Okay.
yeah. So it's all
trackable.
email.
Okay.
Yeah. It's easier that way. So I would just have to go look back or, you know, and try to see the last time we contacted. But I know that we did this at least, I would say 12 to 14 months ago.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I wanted to say thank you, Todd, and also Charles, because Charles had been looking into trying to get the 3 companies possibly to do a walkthrough, and then this way we could figure out who owns what, but they don't do that.
Well, I'm meeting with Con Ed Thursday. Thursday, so I'm gonna try to get like the real rep. I have people I contact. Hopefully, with the meeting I have Thursday, I can get that rep just to deal with these issues. You know, so because there's so many different reps at Con Ed, and you kind of got to figure your way through it.
Thank you, Todd.
Just to add to that, Todd is right that we did sign a new agreement with Verizon in the fall. Altice is, which is Optimum, is currently going to be expiring if it's not already expired. So we are actually in the process right now, working with an attorney to review that for us. And so certainly, based upon what Todd said now and before, we plan on leaning on them to do, accomplish what we need them to before we execute that contract.
That's great.
And then I just wanted to comment on Ms. Reagan's letter and just once again say that we appreciate input and that, you know, we are coming back to a theme of recognition and as the village is aware, we've been doing our best to recognize heritage and celebrations months. And so just wanted to let any interested residents know that if they are interested in recognizing Jewish American Heritage Month, which is in May, and anything additional to what the village is putting together, that we welcome any good faith efforts to do so.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay. So, any questions on the consent agenda? No? Okay. So I'm gonna make a motion to accept the consent agenda. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. So number 7, with great pleasure, we have the appointment of a new superintendent of public works. So I'm gonna make, so Todd, how long have you worked for the village?
29.5 years.
That's- okay.
that was when you were in grade school, you started?
22. I started. 22. I started.
Okay, so just trying to get to the solution. Okay, I found it. I cannot wait for this
Ready?
agenda tool. That would make it so much easier than this, where I'm like throwing around all kinds of papers. Okay. So I am going to make a motion to appoint Todd Smith as superintendent of public works. Do I have a second?
Second.
Unanimous. Second there. Okay, so resolved to appoint Todd Smith to the provisional position of superintendent of public works effective March 16, 2026 at an annual salary of $159,000. All in favor?
Aye.
So I want to say thank you, Todd, for the amazing work that you do on behalf of this village, and we are all very excited. We know that you will continue to do great work and continue and lead the DPW. You know, it's a star department in Irvington.
I appreciate it.
Very, very excited.
We're very lucky to have you.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks. Congratulations, and
Yes.
thanks for all your work on.
Appreciate it.
Okay. So the next item is the formation of a budget committee. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what the budget committee, the purpose of the budget committee is. It's not, the purpose of the budget committee is to get input from residents, just on overall budget issues and policies, over time, not to set the budget in any given year, but to kind of give feedback and specifically, you know, where we've had sort of longstanding policies in place, maybe to take a critical look at some of those policies. And, you know, from time to time, we've talked on this board about things like the number of cars the village has, the schedule with which we replace them, just to have some input about that and maybe some other, you know, we sort of already do some of this, which is compare services and contracting in other places, but it's really to have some fixed community input in a way that we sort of get sporadic input sometimes during budget season, but that's sort of the purpose of the budget committee. And so we are going to talk about approving the formation of the budget committee and then looking for people to join the budget committee. But any questions, thoughts, comments, concerns? No?
I just want to say thanks for bringing this to life. It's been a long time coming, and I think it's an important step toward transparency in terms of how we spend money and having people to look at that and solicit public input.
I can totally agree with that, particularly, you know, past board meetings, it seems like, you know, one individual stands up and talks about one issue on one particular budget, and then, you know, another budget, there's another individual who talks about that, and it seems like it's hard to separate out what's a, you know, singular individual's point of view from what's a larger perspective of a taxpayer group or a village residents or an informed view or not. So I think this budget committee can really help with that and be something that the community looks to as a support for the board and you know, what the board can go to say, oh, here's an issue, let's look at that. And they can do that. So I think this is fabulous, and it's a long time coming, and nobody's done it before, and we're doing it, and that's great.
Yeah, I was just going to second what Arlene said about, you know, I think the benefit of looking like longer term about policy and not just, you know, one or two items, but also like what should the policy be and how do we think about this long term for the next 5, 10, 15 years is going to have a really great impact on, you know, the village. So it's a great thing.
Yeah, and I also just want to say, given that we really have sort of big projects coming up, right? The facilities planning over time, I think we really do want to have transparency for the community and we want to have input. And so, you know, this is one way, but we'll still continue to obviously welcome all the comments on the budget and participation in every and all of the facilities planning events, because I think it's it really is something that's going to affect us all that live here and will continue to live here. So again, this is our village. This is not like the village of the 5 people here. It's this community. So we really do want community input. Okay. Any other thoughts?
I mean, just one last thing. I mean, I think this is wonderful. I really do. Like, it's really is long overdue. I think budgets are it's like how we say our priorities as a community. And like a lot of times, I think when we have these budget conversations, they're very reactive. That people respond to something they're upset about instead of proactively coming up with like what do we care about as a village. And I think, you know, we see this in the facilities planning committee. It's like that's happening there, but only about facilities. But there's the whole rest of the village, all the other things that we do, and like having a conversation, like a thoughtful, like constructive conversation, like community input, not just us. And I think wonderful. So I think this is great.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion to form a budget committee. Do I have a second?
Second.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the formation of a standing budget committee for the purpose of reviewing matters related to the Village of Irvington budget, both capital and operating budget, and the budget process. And be it here resolved as follows. The budget committee shall be comprised of 7 members to be appointed by the Board of Trustees, who shall serve a term of 3 years, each term to expire at the end of the official year of the village. Except for the initial appointments, should it say the 3? This is kind of very funny. No, there shall be appointed, the 3 is throwing me off, I see its numbers in the thing. Shall be appointed to serve for 1 year, 2 shall be appointed to serve for 2 years, I see, okay. Let me just say that again. 3 shall be appointed to serve for 1 year, 2 shall be appointed to serve for 2 years, and 2 shall be appointed to serve for 3 years. The members of the committee shall serve without compensation. The committee shall annually elect from its own members a chairman and a vice chairman. And any vacancy, or a chairperson and a vice chairperson. Any vacancy on the committee shall be filled for the unexpired term in the same manner in which the original appointment was made. The budget committee shall meet and confer with the village administrator and the Board of Trustees and submit comments and recommendations on a periodic basis to the Board of Trustees for their consideration. The following individuals shall be appointed. We don't have
This
any.
is for later.
Yeah, this is for later. We don't have any members yet. Okay. So, and the budget committee, the mission of the budget committee is to provide support and guidance for the mayor, Board of Trustees, village administrator, and clerk treasurer in their endeavor to improve the quality of life of our village while minimizing the financial burden by analyzing and recommending means and methods to optimize program and services, identify cost savings opportunities, generate revenues to offset costs, identify value-added opportunities. So these are things that we all are doing currently, and so we just want to have a committee to sort of support the work that's already being done by all of us currently. All in favor?
Aye.
Asking for volunteers.
We are asking for volunteers, and I'm sure that will maybe go out in a mayor's letter. And some asks, yes, okay. Our next item is to award a contract for shirts for the Irvington Recreation and Parks Department. So I'm gonna make a motion to award a contract for shirts for the Irvington Recs and Parks Department. Number 2026-08, is that the contract number or what is that number?
That'd be the contract.
Contract number, okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Whereas 6 bids were received for contract number 2026, came right after that, I asked that question, 2026-08 for the shirts for the Irvington Recreation and Parks Department as follows. Company Aces Custom Apparel, for a total price of $17,609.89. Dot Designing, $19,032.75. Tia Dagden, Embroidery and Screen Printing, $23,607.31. Kenmore Shirts, $27,853. Creative Color, $39,299.01. Wow, they just keep getting higher and higher. Amaze Awards, LLC, $41,871. I can't imagine what those shirts look like. Whereas the village administrator reviewed the bids submitted and determined that the lowest bidder is responsive to the specifications and resolved to award a purchase contract number 2026-08 for shirts for the Irvington Recreation and Parks Department in the amount of $17,609.89 to to ACES Custom Apparel and to authorize the village administrator to execute said contract. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next item.
$41,000.
Wow, they must be,
Must be amazing.
must be
Yeah,
amazing.
these are shirts for the employees.
Summer camp.
Summer camp, got it.
They're T-shirts, right?
Yeah, it's for like camp, all the programs. I think employees too.
So the next, I'm gonna make a motion to approve contractor agreement with Gary Brewer Architects for the professional services to the Architectural Review Board. This is the law change we made last meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, resolved that the contractor agreement for professional services with the firm of Gary Brewer Architects to provide consulting services to the Irvington Architectural Review Board is hereby approved, and be it further resolved that the village administrator is authorized to execute said agreement on behalf of the village. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so the next item is to approve the hiring special counsel. Joel Deacher of Deacher Law LLC is special counsel to represent participating Westchester municipalities in monitoring the Con Edison rate case. Do you want to talk a little bit about that one?
Sure. So back in, gosh, I guess it was the late fall, if you remember, Con Edison had proposed to raise their rates for oil and gas deliveries, and electrical as well. And the municipalities banded together and elected to fight these rate cases on behalf of our constituents. I believe it was 42 of Westchester's independent municipalities got together and hired Mr. Dichter to help fight this kind of rate increase. Now they did. The end result was, while the rates did go up, it was notably less than it would have. Part of the arrangement that the collective municipalities agreed to was that we would get annual meetings with Con Edison to review their capital plans, to understand how they were spending their money, and to make sure that the capital expenditures benefited both Westchester communities and the city. And so essentially the municipalities are electing to re-engage Mr. Dichter to make sure that the promises outlined in the settlement agreement are kept.
And the first meeting is coming up in April.
Yes,
Charles and I
we haven't set a time, early to mid-April.
Right. So Charles and I will attend that meeting, and we just want to monitor that the spending with respect to what they're doing in Westchester and New York City, and that Westchester is getting capital improvements as
Correct.
well. Yeah. Okay.
I think one of the basic issues here is that as I understand it, is that the cost for Con Ed to supply electricity in New York City, which is all underground, per customer is significantly higher than it is in areas where it's above ground, which is all Westchester. But they're not, our rates are not reflective of that exact difference.
We're paying the same, our residents are paying the same rate as Con Edison customers in Manhattan. But historically, the capital expenditures have been to benefit residents in Manhattan and not Westchester. It's an equitability issue we're trying to address.
Okay. So I'm gonna make a motion to award no, I'm totally ahead of myself, sorry.
Charles, this new format is great. Love it.
Yeah, I just had it in my hand. Here it
Do you
is.
need it here?
Where's the letter? You have it? Yeah, can I borrow it? Because I don't know where my. Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion authorizing the hiring of Joel, how do you say his name?
Dichter.
Dichter, of Dichter Law as special counsel. Do I have a second?
Second.
Whereas the Westchester Municipal Consortium, including the Village of Irvington, hired Joel Dichter of Dichter Law LLC to represent Westchester County municipalities in Con Edison's electric and gas rate case before the New York Public Service Commission. And whereas the New York State Public Service Commission recently approved a 3-year rate settlement with Con Edison starting January 1st, 2026. And whereas it is in the best interest of the Village of Irvington and the Westchester Municipal Consortium that the settlement be monitored for compliance with the terms agreed upon with the New York State Public Service Commission. And whereas Joel R. Dichter of Dichter Law LLC has the necessary experience and expertise to represent the interests of the participating municipalities in this matter, and has submitted a 3-year monitoring proposal dated February 1st, 2026. And whereas the proposal includes monitoring submissions, respond thereto when necessary, participate in WMC specific meetings, and provide periodic updates to the Westchester Municipal Consortium at a cost of $1,250 per participating municipality per year. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of the Village of Irvington as follows: that the Village of Irvington Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the hiring of Joel R. Dichter of Dichter Law Firm as special counsel to represent participating Westchester municipalities, the Westchester Municipal Consortium, to monitor the approved New York State Public Service Commission settlement in accordance with the 3-year proposal from Joel R. Dichter of Dichter Law LLC, dated February 11th, 2026, and the participating municipalities should share the cost of legal and related fees incurred by Joel R. Dichter of Dichter Law LLC, with the total annual amount of representation not to exceed $1,250 per participating municipality. And 3, the mayor and the village administrator are hereby authorized to take all necessary actions to execute agreements and related documents and make payments in furtherance of this resolution. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Wow. I think we need some defined terms, so I don't have to say this names over and over and over again. Okay. Okay. So the next item is the awarding of contract 2026-11 for rear load refuse truck for the DPW. So this is the truck that to do food scraps pilot. Okay. And we have a 50% grant. Okay. Have you figured out how to do the food scraps yet?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, you have?
Well,
You're almost there. You're almost there.
We're working towards it. I think we're in a good spot.
Okay,
We're in
great.
a really good spot.
Okay. So I think residents should know that we got a 50% matching grant for a truck, like a small truck to do at-home pickups for food scraps. And we will be, yeah, you want to talk about it?
It's not just for.
Yeah, okay, that's what I wanted to say.
It's a recycling grant,
Okay.
so it's for yard waste.
Oh, okay.
It's gonna ease the workload on the guys. Instead of lifting over their head, they can lift to their chest. So it's gonna just, hopefully it helps with workers' comp injuries and injuries and just to be more efficient as well. So it's gonna do yard waste, it'll do cardboard and paper, and then food scraps.
It's
So,
a full recycling.
yeah,
Okay.
so we're gonna utilize, it's gonna make the department much more efficient as well.
And,
I'd like to add a little bit more to that.
okay, I just have one
Go
question.
ahead. Yeah.
Okay. And then I assume, Charles, also that we will sort of have a good communication to everyone that really rolls out the program and really explains sort of the changes in the pickups and
In
all.
terms of food scraps,
Yeah,
food scraps, our projection, and it's January of 2027. So the truck takes, the chassis 3 months, then you gotta put the body on. So let's call it 6 months, best case scenario. Still end of the year, see who's involved in the pilot program. That's the Green Policy Task Force. We gotta work with that. We are working on the buckets right now through a vendor. I'm helping them out with that. So we're there. We're close. We do have to work on a rollout though, but I don't think we're there
We're
yet.
not there. And I think we're gonna first have a pilot program and then a rollout.
Well, the pilot program, we're still developing what that looks like specifically. Is it just gonna target one section of the village? Or would it target, a limited number of people throughout the village? I feel like our village is small enough, we could probably hit houses, but we have to make sure also that we know what the demand is and communicate out in a timely manner that they can be picked up.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that the green team and Todd and Charles have already started working on this and are talking through how to make this a successful rollout and pilot program. Todd has indicated that if we wanted to make the pilot inclusive of the whole village, that the DPW is prepared to do that. So it's really a question of, again, as Charles said, interest and making sure that we
Totally
can.
prepared.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Once again, that's why that proposal was in the operating budget, the extra employee.
Yeah.
That makes us prepared.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off, but
No,
that's what
it's okay.
truly makes us prepared is that
Yeah.
extra body. Because we don't have that body on Friday, and that's the best day for us to. That would be our best day to perform that task is a Friday, and we need that employee.
Yeah. And as we know, the food scrap program's been highly successful in diverting. I think I'm trying to, it was on the top of my head and now it's not, but however many tons of waste away from incinerator and landfill and toward food scrapping.
It's about right now we're about 75 to 80 tons a year, and that's a good amount.
It's a good number, and I believe that with curbside pickup, it would
We
increase.
take it ourselves, when we take that, when we drive it up ourselves, the tonnage price goes from $34.50 to $18.50. So yeah, we're gonna pay for some fuel, but in the long run, I think it's gonna benefit us financially, budgetarily.
Yeah, and the reminder too that that also would lower our the amount that we're paying for waste to go to the incinerator, right? So that there's a win there as well. I also just want to say that the food scrap team has done an excellent job of data collection in terms of how much they're collecting, and they have a list of people who already participate and are aware of the program, and so that's a good starting point in terms of rolling out the pilot and getting that started. It's hard to estimate how many people based on tonnage from the farmers market, because that could be people from outside Irvington, but we do have a
That is correct.
good amount of participation.
That's
So-
something we are gonna have to discuss as well, as far as county rules and regulations, as far as us picking it up and having a drop off. That's something we'll deal with in the future. I don't think we should discuss it. I'm still working on some numbers and are we allowed to have a drop off and pick up residential? That's a question right now, and that's at the county level.
Yeah, I think we do want to share out though, as we sort of solidify what the pilot looks like and so that people just are aware of whatever is determined, so that, sometimes people may feel confused about, well, who's participating, who's not participating, but if we sort of just let people know what the pilot looks like, once that's sort of more developed, I think we should share that information.
Yeah, and just so you know, we're looking at standardized bins for collection so that it would be very clear to DPW, that this is a compost bin or a food scrap bin that's being picked up.
Right now, it's a 5-gallon, it's a white bucket, 5-gallon with green lid. So right now, the Hudson compost is a white bucket with an orange lid it's a screwable lid. And those residents are paying for this right now. So of course, this will be part of their taxes, which is one less expense they'll have to have. I don't know how we're gonna label them. That's where we're at now. Is it a sticker? Is it? And we're gonna try to use our local hardware store as the vendor. Pricing, I'm waiting on pricing. It's gonna be very competitive, especially if he purchases enough of them. So it'll be cheaper to the residents as well to purchase.
One thing to point out is the main team is actually, I believe, shortly going to deploy a survey to gauge interest, but also to provide some preliminary education about what it means to food scrap, what kinds of things can go in, be collected, and what can't, and educate, obviously, about the fact that food scrap waste is generally heavier, and emphasizing the net asset. I think that's the goal, and I shouldn't put words in their mouth, but I think that survey is projected to go out soon.
Yeah, I can keep everyone updated on the survey.
The last we spoke, it was about the truck.
Yeah.
And now luckily, we're getting the grant, truck's getting approved, so I think we can kind of move the process along a bit faster now that we know. I feel really good about January 2027. I feel good that the truck will
That's
be.
now on record.
I feel really good about it.
Yeah.
I do. But it gives us enough time if the purchase order goes in tomorrow, I feel good about that.
And just to speak on that a little bit, the reason why we're not waiting for the grant to come through before we do this is so that we can get a start early on having it ordered and built. So that's why we're financing it ourselves for a reimbursement.
David?
Yeah, I just want to say a few words about the truck. The food scraps program, I'm all for this, and this is great. And it sort of pushed the idea of we couldn't really collect food scraps with the equipment that we have, partially because of the weight issue. And just so everybody understands what this truck is, it sort of looks like our regular garbage trucks, except it's about 50% smaller. Everything is reduced in size, except the rear end is the same, which means that if you notice when the garbage men pick up the garbage in the garbage truck, they're dumping it at waist high into the back of this truck. If you also notice when they come around and pick up yard waste or your appliances, they're currently using a pickup truck with this bin on the back. So they literally have to lift whatever yard stuff that you put out over their heads and into, dump the refrigerator in the back of this truck. Which every time I see these guys do this, I'm like, oh my God, it's asking for accidents to happen. So from a safety perspective, this will be huge. Also, the truck is not the size of our big garbage trucks, which means that it can zip up and down our one-way dead-end streets basically as fast as the pickup trucks do. I think the turning radius on the truck you're buying is 27 feet. I would say on your big garbage trucks, it's more like 40 feet. So they will, in some streets, rather than having to back up the whole way, be able to just drive in, turn around at the end, drive out. So I think the efficiency gains, even if we weren't doing food scraps, the efficiency gain and the safety gain of having this for all the rest of the stuff that we do, with those trucks that people are, lifting way over their heads to get into, I think that's huge and it's worth it on its own. And what's wonderful for the village is that because of the food scrap program, we're getting half the truck for free.
Well, this grant was 2 years old. This grant was, we started this 2 years ago. Finally, it's coming to fruition. It took some time. We're 4 away through whatever the number is. We're really close. We got the county called us or the state called us. And we always wanted this truck. But when there's an opportunity to have a grant, you're going to wait for it. And we knew we were in the queue. And that's why we didn't push it through the budget season last year or previous year. So now it just made sense. And food scraps came about during this. And common sense says, let's use this truck. It just makes sense. But as a department, it's just going to make us, like you said, more efficient and safer. And at the end of the day, it's a win for both sides.
Thank you, Todd. Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion
I just
to.
have a quick question. Yeah, it mentions that
It's composting, right?
Similar, yeah.
Same as
No, it's food
composting.
scraps, yeah.
Composting.
Yeah.
well, the food scraps become compost.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
same thing.
Same thing. Yeah. It says it won't exceed 195,000, but then it says it doesn't include possible tariffs. Would that impact? Well, I know.
It shouldn't have much impact. What the PO is getting written for a little bit more for lettering purposes to always protect us.
Okay.
I don't think it's gonna be much of an impact.
We're approving 185, 783
Yeah, no, I was noticing that in
contract.
Yeah,
the contract
it
says
reads that.
total cost will not exceed 195,000, but then the letter from
The vendor says that somewhere. It's an asterisk somewhere in there. I
the
read
price
it.
does not include tariffs.
So we
It shouldn't
may,
be an issue. Number one, it's a Ford. The truck is the chassis is a Ford, so it shouldn't be an issue. The other is leach, should not be an issue at all. Once again, I feel confident about that.
no worries. Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion to award contract number 2026-11 for rear load refuse truck for DPW. Do I have a second?
Second.
That's an enthusiastic second from Josie.
Food
Okay.
scraps. Food scraps.
Whereas the Village of Irvington has scheduled a replacement for the 6-yard dump body vehicle used by the Department of Public Works in the 2026 capital budget, and whereas the Village of Irvington received a 50% grant match, resulting in a real cost to the village of $92,891.25 after reimbursement. And whereas the village administrator has determined that the quote from Sanitation Equipment Corporation through Sourcewell for the new Leach model Mini-Gen 2 8 cubic yard rear load refuse truck to be used for paper recycling, yard waste recycling, and the future food scrap pilot program is in order and responsive to the needs of the department. Now therefore be it resolved to award contract number 2026-11 for the purchase of a new truck for the Department of Public Works at a total price of $185,783.25, and to authorize the village administrator to execute said contract. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So the next item I want to talk about, which is very exciting. So the village, as people know, the village has an outdoor stage at Matheson Park. The village was approached by Jazz Forum Arts to have a summer series outdoor free jazz concerts in Matheson Park for over 8 Thursday nights. Those who have been to Lyndhurst will notice that that is the same night as the Lyndhurst concerts, but we are basically replacing the Lyndhurst concerts. Those were Jazz Forum concerts. They're going to be doing those concerts in Irvington. Charles and I have spent some time talking about parking with the owner of Bridge Street Corp and with the school. So we have some additional parking. Bridge Street is willing to allow us to use one of the lots closest, right? to
We're still
Senior Center.
finalizing.
We're talking to them about, so that's a possibility, but the school is willing to allow us to use Main Street. And we're thinking about relaxing parking enforcement, but so we're gonna work on parking. But we have 8 concerts for our inaugural season in the park, so that is a pretty exciting thing that's happening in Irvington this summer. And I just want to explain also how the outdoor summer stage is gonna sort of be run through the theater, sharing with the theater and Parks and Rec, and we're gonna maybe have some outside rentals. So all of that is being developed, and sort of will hopefully have some great programming and some movies in the park and some other exciting things. But we are entering into a contract with Jazz Forum Arts for these 8 concerts. And so that is going to be a great kickoff to this summer for us.
Mayor, could I add a couple of details? So as part of this contract, and it's laid out in the agreements book and the exhibits A and B, the village is not, so the village is providing funds to Jazz Forum Arts, whose responsibility it will be to find the performers and pay the performers. We are paying Jazz Forum Arts for that and providing in-kind labor costs, for labor for Parks and Recreation, for DPW, for police. So that's how the operations are split. The nice thing for us is we have a new stage. We're down a little bit in theater staffing, but this company is going to come in and organize everything, get all the licenses, pay the vendors themselves. We don't necessarily have to take that on. So I felt personally that it was a net asset for us. And from my perspective, it's important if we have a stage down there that was grant funded, we should be using it. So that's been my driving force there.
You're providing sound systems.
Yes.
So I think they pick the talent, they pay the talent.
They promote.
They promote. And so they really, it's a very low lift for the village. And I think our per concert cost is $800.
$800.
$800. So we're not paying for the talent, obviously. We're just, it's not, we're contributing something to it, but it's not obviously the full cost. And then we will provide labor though, in-kind labor. So that is the responsibility of the village. And should we talk about any other specifics, like what's gonna happen with alcohol in the park?
So we're still figuring that out.
But I think it's important.
Operationally, I suspect alcohol will be permitted, but only during those specific times, and that any kind of waiver of prohibition of alcohol would have to come for the board to speak about and approve anyway. That's one of the details we haven't really gotten to yet, but it seems that that's going to be doable. The other thing, just to speak on parking, is we're trying to figure out what our options are. We have had conversations with Bridge Street Properties. We've not really ironed anything out with that yet. But as the mayor indicated, we're looking at opening up parking on Main Street and suspending parking enforcement during those hours. They could certainly use the senior center lot. They could use the Main Street school lot. They could use the scenic Hudson parking lot. So as anyone who lives in Irvington knows, parking, sometimes you have to be creative, but also this draws other people from other communities, and we would encourage train transport, which for us is really beneficial because it's down the street from the park.
Yeah, the train is great. It's so close. Yeah. And yeah, I'm super excited about this. It's going to be great, I think, for people in Irvington, for our businesses, and that's great.
Will there be food trucks? Because in Lyndhurst, they have a food truck and also.
There was discussion of that, right?
So in general, that's something that's being worked on by the organization. My understanding as of now is that the Jazz Forum Arts is really trying to benefit local businesses. So they're going to go around and encourage restaurants to provide food that can be purchased and then carried in. So from a logistical standpoint, it does save them time and money in terms of licensing. But any wine or food will be carried in.
I mean, I think those are things to be determined, but I do think that it would be nice for our local businesses if they, to sort of, we could work with the local businesses so that they know when the schedule is and they could have sort of like picnic specials. I don't know if people remember during COVID, like MP Taverna had their baskets, which were really great. But if we could encourage other businesses to do that as well, and then maybe, I don't know with the food trucks, but I'm assuming we will have other events where there will be food trucks, probably movie nights. There are things that are going to be organized by Parks and Rec, and then other events by the theater. So that's the plan for the.
Yeah, it looks like on the agreement we have the dates, so.
Yeah, I
once we
mean, I can
execute,
give
we
you
can.
it's the Thursday night starting on July 9th and ending on the 27th. No, there are no rain dates, so if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, but it's 8 concerts in total.
I think the alcohol piece has to be worked out because there is a large following that goes now. And all those people who are coming over there now are more than likely going to come here. And they've regularly for years bringing their bottle of wine with them.
Yes, I mean, that happens in Pearson Park, it happened in Lyndhurst. I think we feel confident that we can, it won't be an issue, but we just have to work out the details.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a big haul. Generally, the board would just vote to, not enforce parking or alcohol prohibition in the parks at certain specific times. I've spoken with the chief. We have a pretty good understanding about how enforcement would happen. We would have a police officer there patrolling in the park to make sure that everything's safe. I'm sure knock on wood, people will be on their best behavior, but it's not that other people haven't done it. We just have to follow the same guidelines.
By the way, with Lyndhurst, they've been doing this for years. I go there regularly. There's no police presence at all. There's a bunch of parking people directing people where to park and how to park, but it's not like it's a uniform officer demand. And they've been doing alcohol
Yeah, in
And I
Pearson Park
assume-
too, there's not like a strong police presence.
Yeah, I'm not expecting,
No.
you know,
No,
a strong
I agree.
presence, just to walk through. The unfortunate reality I think the village has is they have an administrator, a risk averse person. And so I will err on the side of public safety and compliance and liability every day of the week. So that's my, I guess you're,
I'm just saying, every person doesn't have to be a policeman. It could be
No,
a rec department.
well, within reason, rec department is primarily gonna be there to collect the garbage. I don't wanna put them in a position to try to enforce anything.
They don't want to.
I don't think it's gonna be a big problem, we just have to make sure that we have. I'm not concerned, I've been to these things, I've brought wine to these things, I'm realistic about it.
Okay. So I am going to make a motion to approve the agreement with the Jazz Forum Arts. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, resolve the agreement for professional services with Jazz Forum Arts to book talent, produce and promote 8 free Thursday evening concerts of jazz and world music in Matheson Park from July 9th, 2026 through August 27th, 2026 is hereby approved, and be it further resolved that the village administrator is authorized to execute said agreement on behalf of the village. All in favor?
Aye.
What are the hours? Am I allowed to speak?
Not really.
Not really.
The hours are 6:30 to 8:30 PM.
Why stop now? No, I'm kidding.
They generally end before sunset.
Okay.
Before it starts.
Okay, so the next item is the award of contract for the Erie Street and Langdon Avenue Water Main Replacement Project.
Sure, sorry, I'm just pulling up, I made a note.
I'm less excited about this one than we are about the Jazz Forum Arts. It costs a lot more.
Not excited about it.
Thank you, I had it on. So this is a contract that was developed by the village engineer Doug Hahn to replace the water mains at Erie and Langdon. So we received these proposals, the low bid, we did have one correction. There was an error on the bid sheet, it did include the cost of the alternate one, so if, so the correction is, the total bid plus alternate is $322,988.
That's the total bid?
That's the bid plus alternate.
You know what I don't understand, because in the resolve it's 325, at 325 for the base bid and 322 for the base bid plus alternate one bid. The alternate one bid is lower? It's like does it have a different? In the resolution, the last resolution says
Yeah.
325 for the base bid and 322,988 for the base bid plus alternate
It
one.
was just incorrect on the first sheet.
No, we're not talking about whether it's correct or not. She's asking,
See,
Is-
on all of them, I mean, the alternate
is
is
it
low.
if we
okay.
take the alternate, are we?
I guess I don't know what the
choosing
alternate bid is.
Or just one?
On
It's one
quite a
number.
few of them, like for number 3, 500, the
Okay.
alternate's 498.
Okay.
499.
Okay. So I'm gonna make a motion to award contract for the Erie Street and Langdon Street Water Main Replacement Project. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Whereas 11 bids were received for contract number 2026-09 for the water main replacement project as follows. Legacy Supply. Okay, so Legacy Supply, 325 total base bid. And then the total base and an alternate bid is what? Because on the front, in number 1, it says 351.
It's
Yes,
322.
Okay.
It's on the second.
You
It's
got
on the resolved is correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
You got the
three,
alternate.
so, okay, so Legacy Supply, total base bid, 325,000, total base and alternate bid, $322,988. Okay. Woodland Manor, total base bid, 465,410, total base and alternate. That doesn't make sense at all, 33,488. So we need to correct that, I think.
Okay.
We might be missing a number,
We
like
can
a
fix
4.
that.
Okay. Peter J. Landy, 500, 425 for the total base bid, 498, 885 for total base and alternate bid. Scape Tech Landscape, total base bid, 508, 833. Total base and alternate bid, 499, 465. Palladino Concrete Operations Corporation, total base bid, 542, 670. Total base and alternate bid, 537, 835. 2XPC Corporation for $585, $276,000 for the total base bid, 580, 442.16 for the total base and alternate bid. MTS Infrastructure LLC, 594.25 for the total base bid, 594, 670 for the total base and alternate bid. I mean, there must be some faster way to read this, but okay. It's gonna torture all of you. King's Capital Construction, 628, 140 for the total base bid, 629, 575 for total base and alternate bid. Aquaworks, Inc., 723,875 for the total base bid, 751, 317 for the total base and alternate bid. GN Corporation, 967 for the total base bid, 972, 424 for the total base and alternate bid. And I don't know what's happening with Custis Construction. It appears to have nothing for the total base bid, but for the total base and alternate is 974, $525,000. Whereas the village administrator reviewed the bid submitted and determined that the lowest bidder is in order and responsive to the specifications, now therefore be it resolved to award contract number 2026-09 for the Erie Street and Langdon Avenue Water Main Replacement Project to the lowest bidder, Legacy Supply, at $325,000 for the base bid and $322,908 for the base bid and alternate one bid, and to authorize the village administrator to execute said contract. All in favor?
Aye.
This open award.
The range of bids was tremendous
Crazy.
on this.
Crazy.
So is it for the t-shirts.
Yes, true.
We're having
Wow.
Double the price.
Yeah.
Mary Ann, do we really need to read every single bid, or can we say that
No?
this is the
Okay.
the lowest bid is XYZ for this amount, and the other bids were all higher, and they're listed?
Okay, can we do that? Because I'm gonna do that the next time.
I mean, I've seen that done before, you know.
Okay.
We received the following, the bids as outlined as a result of the, you know, recommend for low
If
bids.
anybody's really interested, they can look on
Yeah.
the website.
Yeah.
Oh, this is just the presentation. Okay.
By the way, when is that going to be?
Sorry.
This year?
Yeah, I suspect so.
Okay. So the next item is the presentation of the 2025 MS4 annual report.
That's me. I apologize for reading it. I want to make sure that I've covered all of our bases. Tonight I'm presenting the MS4 annual report and the interim progress certification for 2026, which covers the reporting period from January 3rd, 2025, to January 2nd, 2026. The term MS4 stands for Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System. So MS4, which refers to the publicly owned drainage and infrastructure such as catch basins, storm drains, pipes, culverts, and outfalls that collect rainwater, snowmelt from streets, sidewalks, and other developed areas and convey it directly to nearby waterways. The MS4 program is administered in New York by the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, or DEC, under the State Pollution Discharge Elimination System Permit Program, which implements the Federal Clean Water Act. Because the stormwater runoff can carry pollutants such as sediment, trash, fertilizers, oil, and other contaminants. Municipalities are required to implement measures that reduce these pollutants and protect water quality. Under the MS4 permit, municipalities must implement a stormwater management program that addresses 6 minimum control measures: public education and outreach on stormwater impacts, public involvement and participation, illicit discharge detection and elimination, construction site runoff control, post-construction stormwater management, and pollution prevention and good housekeeping for municipal operations. The village's annual report summarizes the actions taken during this reporting period to meet these requirements. This includes ongoing maintenance and inspection of the village's stormwater infrastructure, staff training on stormwater management, and green infrastructure practices. In addition, oversight of development projects to ensure compliance with stormwater regulations and continued public education and outreach designed to raise awareness about protecting our waterways. We are submitting this annual report and interim progress certification, which allows the village to demonstrate compliance with the MS4 permit while also providing transparency regarding steps we are taking to improve stormwater management and protect local water quality. The interim progress report is posted on our website. It was included in the agenda, and it's on the website under the Department of Public Works webpage. So anyone who wants to review the interim progress report can view it there. Does anyone have any questions at this time?
Any questions? Do we need to take any action? No.
Now that it's been adopted, we can formally submit it to the state. Or now that it's been presented.
Charles, do you have any comments about? We're now ready to do this.
The one comment I would say is thank you to Ed Marin and Todd Smith for assisting us with this, as well as Jim Maxwell from AI Engineers, who is our stormwater consultant. Being someone new to this, it was really helpful to have people to help contribute, and I wanted to recognize their efforts.
Thank you, Todd. Thank you, Ed Marin, everyone who helped you. Okay, so our next item is a budget discussion of the preliminary draft budget. So, Katie, can you just tell us the time frame so people can understand kind of the overall? So we've gone through the budget workshops.
Yes.
And we have some deadlines coming up. So I just want you to take us through the deadlines.
Yeah, so we started back on January 14th, and that's when we had our budget overview. We had all of the departmental budget workshops, which leads us to the release of the tentative budget, which is required to be done by March 20th. So on Friday, the tentative budget will be released. It will be posted on the website, so everybody has access to review it. And then our following meeting on April 6th will be the budget public hearing. So everyone, the public can come and give their feedback. If we need to continue the public hearing, the April 15th work session will then have to be designated as a special meeting to continue the public hearing. And then, since the budget must be adopted by May 1st, the goal is to have it adopted at the April 20th board meeting.
Thank you. I just want to go through so that people understand what sort of happens in sort of discussions. So we had the workshops, and we have a 2% tax cap, as everyone knows. And so we have been working through some of the items that were presented. So I just want to go through kind of a list of things that we are taking off the budget that were presented during workshops. There is in the senior center program, senior citizen programming, the labor line, we're reducing it by 9,159. Do you have more information from Maureen about that?
I do. So she provided an updated breakdown of the different staffing levels. So it looks like she reduced, the number of hours that the director, works. So it's 7.25 hours, 3 days a week, and then 5.75 hours 1 day a week. So that reduced that down a bit, and then the building assistants got reduced down to 6.5 hours. That's for 3 of the days, and then for 5 hours on the 4th day. And then the 2 office and tech support staff were reduced down to 3 hours per week. So that it was originally 147,423, and that reduced it down to 138,264.
And that still results in sufficient staffing at the senior center.
I believe so. These were all Maureen's recommendations.
Okay, so a few of the other changes that we made to the requests that were presented. Also under senior programs, we eliminated bus rentals of $3,000. And that's because we have a bus, a senior bus.
That line item was if one of the 2 bus drivers, if the current staff bus drivers could not take the seniors to something, they had a standby, procure a standby bus. But we feel pretty good that we can rely on our staffing and not have to go out at the last minute to find a bus for trips.
Perfect, thank you. Okay. And then we also removed a request for $1,000 for the fire department for food for volunteers on weather standby. The police department equipment, we removed $78,000 for a replacement vehicle. The vehicle is $50,000, and this corresponding equipment to, I guess, retrofit it is $28,000. There does not appear necessarily to be a need to replace a vehicle at this time, we felt. Okay. Okay, so the building department supplies, we're reducing the uniform line from $2,700 to $500, since we feel that that's an adequate amount. And also the theater rental revenues line we reduced by $50,000. We're just being more conservative there as the theater sort of finds its footing in programming. Okay, and then we are moving 2 things because they're one-time requests. We're going to cover them with fund balance. One item is from the police department repairs and maintenance, $35,000 for a one-time conversion implementation fee for them to join Greenberg's admin/impact system as a shared service. And then also for the nature center, the repairs and maintenance of buildings, we're going to cover with fund balance $21,600 for repairs there. So those were the changes. Where are we with respect to the tax cap and?
Okay, so with respect to the tax cap.
Yeah, you know what, before you get there, one other thing I want to say. In the budget, the amounts that were covered were either for were sort of like a standard percentage of raises that were either sort of assumed by contract and then what we have done in the interim and what we will is some merit increases. And so those were not in the workshops, but they will be in the tentative budget. Correct?
Yes, they'll be under the contingency line.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Perfect.
Okay, so as far as the tax cap, now don't quote me to the exact dollar because I still want to do like one full thorough review before Friday. But the maximum amount that we could raise the tax levy to stay within the tax cap was 756,498. And right now we're about at 653,876, or about $102,622 under the cap. And then as we got the updated assessment values from Greenberg. So total assessed values went up about 6.61%, which is actually lower. The prior year, they increased about 7.94%. So as in the past couple of years, the tax rate is going to decrease, which doesn't necessarily mean someone's taxes will decrease if their assessed value increase by more.
And will you prepare what you normally prepare, which sort of shows that, I think you've prepared that in the past, where you show sort of that kind of a real number, don't you do that?
Yeah, so
As an
there's
example.
yeah, and like the cover letter will kind of explain that, and then there's also a tax rate summary that goes in the budget document, so it shows the tax rates for the past 5 years and how they've fluctuated.
Thank you. Any comments, thoughts? No? Okay. All right, so we will have, our next meeting will be the public.
The public hearing on April 6th.
Okay, perfect. Okay, reports of boards, standing committees, and officers. Okay, trustee liaison reports. Kent.
Some good news. Our August 30th Irvington Caliber Day was awarded the Hudson River Valley Greenway National Heritage Area Grant for $2,000. So it will help fund a variety of performers, reenactors, musicians for that celebration. So that's some good news. We don't have the village will not have to supply that fund, which is great. Some Board of Ed announcements. Some great events coming up. One coming up is the Navigating the Digital World Internet Safety Seminar is on March 19th, 7 p.m. at the campus theater. PTSA Executive Committee is looking to fill 10 positions for the next school year. They're asking us to apply with PTS Google form. It's on their site. Scaffold has a meeting for parents and caregivers of neurodivergent students on March 18th at Louis Cafe at 10 a.m. The PTSA has a book sale fundraiser May 12th to 16th. They're collecting books now through May 6th. Collection bins are at the lobbies of each of the Irvington schools, the JCC, Wood Day School, and Good Shepherd. And IBBC is running its second Trail Classic 5K on Sunday, April 12th at 9 a.m. It's to register or they're also some quick.
Is that the one that's behind the high school?
Hmm?
Is that on the high school property?
That's a good question. John, exactly sure where it
Is
looks.
that the same thing they've done in the past?
I think it's the same place where they've done it in the past. I haven't participated, so I don't.
Yeah, there was little conflict between them not notifying people that it was happening.
Well, if you want me to confirm, I can. Sure.
That would be nice.
Sure. Sure. Let's see. Just a quick update for planning board and ARB. It has been largely not commercial, but local folks. 23 Park Road. I'll list some locations if you have questions. 20 Willow Street, 3 Langdon Avenue, 19 Deer Cliffs, 1 Heritage Hill Road, 29 Meadowbrook Road, and 71 Haviland Road. I know 29 Meadowbrook Road has come up a few times. They're still continuing the conversation around an electrical panel, which has been going on now for a few months. Some of the others seem, which is good. ARB had 3 that we're talking about. 41 Beechwood Road, an application about a fence, which is, I think, I'm hoping will be something that we'll see lots of in the future. 9 North Buckout Street, an application about skylights. Again, that's something that wasn't visible from the street, so it was dismissed fairly quickly. But again, things that are not within the street. It feels like things that hopefully are reform will like sort of address. So I think things kind of sort of help a little bit. I think it would be nice if some of these things could potentially from what you're yeah, and that is it for me.
So for our DPW report, happy to see that all the snow and plowing equipment has been inspected, washed, and greased. Looks like a salt spreader was removed, so let's just hope that means no more snow. I know, exactly.
Seriously, you
I'm
can't
sorry.
say that.
I'm sorry.
That is
everyone.
how it works.
Yeah.
That is.
You wear open toe shoes when it's more than 60, so Mother Nature knows it's the winter's over.
I brought an
That's
umbrella
just
to
how
make
it
sure
is.
Yeah.
You put the snow equipment away, that is it. We're done.
Apologies.
Thanks,
Apologies.
everyone.
Yeah. Importantly, just supervising work at the IFD. Thank you for the exterior wall and sidewalk repairs, which actually I saw happening this week. Filling potholes and then documenting hazards from winter storms. Let's see. I wasn't able to attend the last RPAC meeting because it was held during one of our board meetings, but happy to report that that committee has appointed people to work on a community survey to discuss recreation and parks, well, to get community input for recreation and parks programs. For IPD, I just wanted to highlight an email that was forwarded to myself and Charles from Chief Pignatelli regarding Officer Brandon Bellis. He was lauded by a resident for a response during a medical emergency in the resident's home. And while first responders were working on the emergency, Officer, is it Bellis or Bellis? Bellis, yeah. Was able to devote his attention to the resident, which made that a lot easier. So I just wanted to highlight that and say thank you. And also that that's a great example of community policing in terms of, you know, providing, being a liaison and being support. So thank you for your professionalism, compassion, and humanity. And then for the green team, there's a rescheduled event. It was rescheduled because of weather, because of snow. It's happening Saturday, the 21st, so this Saturday, at O'Hara Nature Center. It's David Orwick talking about forest dynamics through plots and tree rings. And then I'm also seeing that it looks like there's a scheduled event for Earth Month. So look for those on the theater website. And that's all I have.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see from the library. As you all know, they've had a lot of building repair issues lately, but happy to report that the program room is back in commission. So it was out of commission from Monday, February 9th to Saturday, March 7th. I'm not sure if everyone noticed it, but at the Facilities Planning Committee meeting, another leak spread out during that meeting.
No.
But it was minor compared to before. So, you know, anyway, the room is mostly back. There's still some remaining things. I think with like the projector they need to replace and working on the flooring, but they're back holding programs, which is great. Despite the program room being out of commission for so long, they still had really good attendance with programs, I think partially because they had good online attendance for some of the online programs. So for the adult programs, they had 10 in person, 6 online. 228 people attended those, 70 in person, 108 online. And then the young adult programs, 3 programs, 19 attended, children's 18, 289 people attended, 164 children for adults. I think for like a lot of the children's programs, they kind of move those to other spaces in the library, so they will still have those. So it's great to see some people using the library programs, and I think they did a good job making do, even while dealing with these ongoing issues. I can definitely say from first-hand experience, the kids were very excited about the chess club. Was exiting as we started the last sport. What else? Okay, the community advisory board. We had a meeting earlier in the month where the students had a really good discussion on leadership and qualities of leader, and even put together some skits kind of showing those qualities. And so that was really, you know, always very engaging, inspiring to see our students really, I don't know, have good thoughts on topics like this and be able to communicate them really effectively. It's really impressive. The Tree Preservation Committee, another meeting, besides going, looking at the residents, permits for tree removal and inspecting those. They've been doing a really good job putting together some educational content. I already shared this with the board, but they're working on some flyers to give to residents as far as like why are trees important, why do we want to preserve the canopy and everything. And so it's great, I think, to see them taking that kind of educational role and keeping residents informed about the importance of trees and everything. That's it for me.
David?
Okay, the Facilities Planning Committee, we all went to that meeting, which was wonderful. Mayor's letter, thank you very much for highlighting that. And putting in the link to, we now have a live online version of that event. And I don't know if anyone's looked at that or not, but it is superior.
That's excellent.
It is so good. We've had some various other stuff, online surveys, etc. This is like 5 times better than anything that's ever put out for residents to be able to add input and see what's going on. So that's great. We could probably do the blast that out a couple more times to get some reports from it, or to see how many people are actually using it or not. But it is so user friendly. It's great. And that same format, after the next FBC meeting, which I forget what it is, but it's in another few weeks, when they do their next presentation, there'll be an upgraded version of that where people can really dig in and make comments, etc. In fact, I found it easier to do it online than I did in the physical presentation with putting your sticker up on the wall. You didn't have to elbow your way in. You could just do it. So anyway, they've done a fabulous job of that, and we've already publicized it. So great. If you haven't looked at it, do look at it. The TOD committee had the 11 applicants for our consultancy to understand the zoning for the TOD district. They've now been narrowed down to 4, and we have a meeting next Tuesday or Wednesday to review those 4 and try to get it down to 1 or 2, and then set up interviews with these people and go forward. One thing that we have noticed in there is these 11 applicants every one of them is not just a single firm. It's like 3 firms that participate together to do various parts of the project. And one of the parts of the project is analyzing the zoning that we have now, which was part of our plan to look at our own zoning, all of the zoning in Irvington. And what we've come up with is there's a few names that keep popping up of people who do this in Westchester. So we were thinking that the village would need, if we're really going to look at doing things like Kent is suggesting, not having to worry about fences so much, have to come to a meeting about a fence every time, and to actually alter that zoning, that we would need a professional consultant who has done this kind of thing before to look at that. And now we have some names of people who do it already, so we have that link. And it could be one of the people, the person that we hire might have somebody good in that area too. So we would be getting at least the TOD portion of that work done as part of that contract as well. So that's a really good thing there. Okay, so Housing Committee, they sent a letter here. They're working along, waiting for TOD to get what they've are going to accomplish there. They're also concerned that the Cosmo project will absolutely include affordable housing, and I've assured them that the full board is unquestionably going to make sure that that project complies with all of the affordable housing.
Can I just say one thing there? I mean, that's a must. So
yeah, it's not even a question.
it's not even a question. So I think
They were just getting nervous because it wasn't at the top of the list.
they shouldn't get nervous if that's a
Really
requirement.
clear.
It's a clear legal
It's
requirement.
clear.
No, and I think it was also made very, I don't know why they'd be nervous, because it was made very clear every time they were.
The only thing that makes them nervous is that it's not in any of the plans that were presented.
Well, I know.
It's a legitimate point though. Like where's it gonna go? At that point, it's real. Like people have a hard time. They fight every time we put it.
Yeah, but we told them, don't bother coming back until you've got a proposal for
with a specific place. Though.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
good.
Oh,
All right,
yeah.
good. If
I-
that's the case,
so they're-
that's
they're-
That was
Just
made
haven't done it
clear at meetings, and I certainly made it.
good. I haven't heard
Done
it, so it's good to hear.
And
Oh, yeah.
Wait,
Yeah,
can I ask a question here, Marianne? Just this is we're sort of veering off topic. So we probably during our little trustee liaison reports, we probably need to report, but instead of having all out discussions. But the that's for next time. For housing, for whatever the 10% housing, in the code, is it allowed for it to be somewhere else, or is that a special?
Yes, the board can permit the housing to be somewhere else if they decide that's it'll provide more or better opportunities for affordable housing. And this certainly would, I mean, because you wouldn't.
But we'll see what they propose.
You would probably get more units someplace else than you would in there.
And it's allowed to be off their property.
Yeah,
I just want to clarify that because
Not as of right, you have to
Right.
permit it. The
Correct.
board has the
That was
discretion to do it if it furthers the goals of fair and affordable.
understood. I just want to clear that because
Yeah.
that was a question that was raised to me, but I knew that from.
And there is a third possible option that the board could choose to take, and some communities do this, that they say, if you don't do that, you have to pay us
No,
We don't want
have
double.
Nobody wants
But
that. It's not gonna
It's
happen.
not in our code, and
Right.
for a good reason, it's too much. I mean, the village can't take on building houses.
Okay, we're really veering off.
Okay, so moving on.
Moving back to our reports.
Moving back to the report.
I'm going to read
I'll
my
go off that one,
reports.
and get back to
We're gonna have a 3-minute time limit.
the Nature Center. Okay, so Nature Center, spring is here, lots of stuff is happening every Saturday. There's bunches of people out there. There was 25 or 30 people out there last Saturday.
I was planting trees last Saturday.
Yeah, you were out there planting trees, whatever. So that's all great.
I mean, really, Jorge was planting trees. I was sort of slightly helping.
That's
I
okay.
did.
Moral support is critical.
I did not. I actually shoveled some dirt and carried some logs. A little bit more than moral support, but I did plant multiple trees like Jorge.
And what Josie mentioned, one of the speakers is part of the 4-speaker forum. And there's a couple of them that even board members would really be good to show up to some of these people, because there's some significant people and doing great things. So that's good. Another little thing you're going to get, not at this meeting, but by next meeting, we had an incident in the woods 2 days ago, and rather bad. And the Woods Committee is going to come with some potential solutions to what we might do to prevent such a thing. in the
Wait, that
future.
sounds very bad. So I think we
Yeah,
should just say that we have an issue in the O'Hare Nature Center about where the EV chargers.
No,
That's
no, no,
something
no.
else, like so
No,
there is a.
No,
oh,
we had
see?
there was a student who hurt himself, I believe a broken leg at 1:30 in the morning this last weekend. And there was a large yet undetermined party going on. So the season has started for these parties. And
Talking about the high school kids hanging out in the woods.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
We got to be a little clearer. 'Cause it
Yeah, I
sounds
was like,
really
what kind of incident?
Yeah.
like crazy.
I kind of
Like
imagine
Bigfoot
all
is
sorts
in
of
the
terrible
woods and he's chasing kids and they're breaking their legs. That's not what's happening. Okay.
There's alcohol
Kids are
in
drinking.
the
No,
woods
there
and
was
quite a
an
few of them.
yeah, there was an accident in the woods with a high school student, a high school senior, this past Saturday.
Yes.
Okay.
Right,
That's
but
what-
from my
Okay.
understanding, there was also police that were on site.
Yes.
Well, they had
And
to
fire
because they took him
department as
away
well.
Yes,
in an ambulance and
Yes.
they brought the gator in and they did
Yes.
the whole 9 yards.
yes.
So the Woods Committee is looking at that and it's going to present to the board some issue or some solutions that.
To the BZ party, to the BR parties. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get the lingo. BR is bedrock.
Right.
That's the, yeah. Sorry.
Exactly.
I have a high school senior. So, okay.
Okay. That's it for Woods.
Okay, thank you. Alrighty, village administrators report.
I'll keep it brief. The village board may be aware that the village is engaged in a website refresh, that will launch on the 25th. The village board is probably aware because I just put it on David's computer. We have our agenda management tool that is up and running. For the most part, we have our agendas that are posted in a portal that consolidates both the agenda, the minutes, the packet, and eventually the video. Today was my first dry run with the live streaming through this software and the minutes tool. So once it's all filed and together and approved, you'll be able to go within one place to navigate everything. So that's positive. If anyone's looking for it, it's under the government tab. Under meetings, it's listed as meeting agendas, and it will take you to the public portal.
I've just been using that this meeting and it's fabulous. And I'm not a computer pro here. Guy.
And I clearly need it. So-
Right, yeah. You were looking for that one thing and I just clicked on it. It came right up.
The nice thing too is within very few steps, my office can put out the agenda. We can post it to the website. We can email it to any of the subscriber lists all at once. If we have to change things, it's just a simple drag and replace rather than taking something, printing it, scanning the whole document up together, uploading it to the website. It's a real big improvement, and all due credit is deserved to Karen Bucheri in my office for doing all that work. If you all missed it, we'll be publicizing it more in collaboration with the theater. The Parks and Rec department recently put out a save the date for an ice cream social event on June 25th, the last day of school. We're still working out the details, which is why it's just a save the date, but it's planned that there will be a band, volunteers giving out ice cream in celebration for kids completing another year of school in Matheson Park from 4 to 7. More information will come on that.
Any thought, sorry,
Go ahead.
any thought for it to not be the last day of school since a lot of people are
It hadn't been a thought.
Okay.
We haven't signed anything yet, so it's doable.
I would talk to the school to see.
I spoke with the school district
Okay.
and the superintendent from the PTSA.
They should look at their absent, like, but, like if they have a huge absentee the last, it doesn't matter. Go ahead.
I mean, I'll ask them.
Yeah.
Again, nothing's been signed.
I second that because that's been an issue in the past where there's
A lot of
kids
camps,
camps
a lot
start.
of camps start before the end of school.
Yeah. So they miss their last few days of school because of camp.
All right. We'll figure that out. Next, the theater manager position was posted a couple weeks ago. I did do a hard count, but it looks like we have about 20 applicants, which is a pretty steady response. So I'm
Is this
excited.
the same posting that went out before,
Yes.
sort of?
Yeah,
It's revised.
Yeah, revised, but
very slightly. I mean, the meeting bones of it are still.
how many applicants will get at that time?
Almost 40.
And we still have
we
another
have
10
a
days.
couple, yeah.
10 days.
So anyway, so that's ongoing. I'm eager to see what we get.
Kennedy Center will be unemployed now.
Okay.
I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, that's my report.
Village clerk treasurer's report.
No report, just finishing up the budget.
Thank you, Katie. I know you've been working very hard on that. Village attorney's report?
No.
Thank you, Marianne. Okay, public comment? Nothing? I'm checking online. Okay.
There are no hands up online.
Thank you. So review of action items.
We have some corrections we'll look into as far as that Erie and Langdon bid, but I think everything else was.
Okay. I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, meeting adjourned.
Everyone.
113 minutes.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Stop it.
Um,